and today we will discuss about history lesson number 2 class 10th nationalism in India. So let's start this chapter. So first of all we will write the name of the chapter, that is class 10th history lesson number 2 nationalism in India. Since this chapter we have already taught you in the class, so this is the revision lecture, so we will not go into that much detail, but I'll give you the complete overview of the chapter in this lecture. Fine. And while listening this chapter, while watching this chapter, if you find any problem, any sort of problem, you can comment below and let us know. We'll give you immediate reply. Okay. So this is what revision lecture is going on. Revision. Fine. So as we have seen this chapter completely already, so first of all let's draw the timeline, and through timeline only we will discuss this chapter. So here is our timeline we are drawing here. When you are learning history through timeline, it becomes very easy. So I always tell you all that please make one solid timeline through which everything will be very easy if you will make one strong solid timeline chart. Fine. So here we are making first of all the events what we will discuss here. So everyone, we will start from 1914, 1914, and we will go up to 1947, that is 1947, 1947. This is our beginning year, that is 1914. And that is our finishing year, that is 1947. So till here we have to discuss the events. Fine. Although some minor events which took place in the last of the 1947 is not that much given in detail in our NCERT book, but then also I'll try to tell you okay the basics about it. Fine. So let's start about it. So 1914, what is there? What has started here? First of all, we will write all the events, and then I'll explain you one by one. Fine. And I recommend you to open your notebook where you have made the notes, and if you find any extra points, any additional points, then you can make on it. And if any new student is there who is watching this for the first time, I recommend that student to make one very solid notes. Okay. So let's see here. This is World War One. First of all, let's write all the important years. 1914. Then the next very important year will be 1915. Then the next very important year will be 1916. Fine. After that we have 1917 to 18. Then the next year is 1919. And after that we have 1920. Okay, 1920 to 22. This is the one time period. Then after that the next very important year is 1923 to 30, you can take. Fine. 1923 to 30. Fine. After that the next very important year is 1930 to 34, 1930 to 34. And then after that we have this year that you can take from 1935 to 47. So 1935 to 47 we will take it at last. Okay, whatever additional things has to place in this particular part we will see. So these many things we have to see. If you will make one very strong story in your memory now, then this chapter will become extremely easy. Extremely easy it will become. So let's start first of all here. Please write World War One. World War One started from here, as you all know. World War One. Let's see before completion. Before I complete this particular timeline events, let's see how many of you will complete in your copy. So try to complete before I will complete. Okay, writing all the events here. So like I have written WW1, that is World War One. So similarly, you please write all the events before completing, before I will complete. Okay. So here 1915, as you all know, Gandhi ji came back in India. Gandhi returns. Gandhi ji returns. Okay. Then in 1916 we have Lucknow Pact. Pact, है ना? Pact means what? Agreement. Lucknow Pact. Then in 1917 to 18 we have Satyagraha. What we have? Satyagraha. Fine. After that in 1919 we have Rowlatt Act. What we have? Rowlatt Act. Okay. Then apart from Rowlatt Act, we also have one very unfortunate incident that is called as Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Jallianwala Bagh massacre, that we will see in this particular part only, that is 1919. After that in 1920 we will discuss the next very important part, that will be known as non-cooperation movement. Very very important, non-cooperation movement. Okay, with non-cooperation movement, now one more movement was there, that was called as Khilafat movement. So I'll tell you Khilafat movement along the non-cooperation movement only, don't worry about that. Then 1923 to 30, now after non-cooperation movement ended, so what episode, what events took place in this particular period, that we will see. So here it is, this one is the period of civil disobedience movement, है ना? So please remember, civil disobedience movement has not started, within, after completing, non-cooperation movement. There is a certain gap between the non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement, as you can see. Fine. So that gap is about 8 years, as you can see, from 1923 to 30 years. It is about 8 years. So this 8-year gap is known as towards civil disobedience movement. What it is called? Towards civil disobedience movement. So please write here, towards civil disobedience movement. And finally what is started? Civil disobedience movement is started. Okay. And finally, after this civil disobedience movement, whatever additional part will be there now, that we will discuss in this series. Like important episodes, you can see here that Government of India Act will be there. Okay, I am writing this here, Government of India Act. Then the next one will be Quit India Movement. Okay, Quit India Movement. Fine. Then similarly we have the partition and then independence. So this we will discuss. Although some additional events are also there, that I'll tell you. Okay, so let's start this very interesting timeline one by one, and I guarantee you that you will definitely enjoy and you will learn this complete chapter very easily. So let's start this chapter first. So here beta, you see, when World War I started, you all know that World War I we have also seen in chapter number 1 of class 10th history, that is the rise of nationalism in Europe. So in that chapter also we have seen, that is World War I. So why World War I started, I will not go into that, because you already know the Balkan region story, the tension in Balkan region you already know. So I will not go into that World War I. But remember, in this World War I, one country was there which was called as Britain. So Britain was participating in this World War I, and Britain was also ruling in India. So since Britain was ruling in India now, so they cannot fight with the stones and pebbles. So they need they needed weapons, they needed other resources for their army and all. Fine, they needed army also who can fight with the enemy countries. Okay, so for that purpose what they did, they started doing forceful recruitment. Okay, so here I am just writing all the important points here. So in this World War I, Britain was participating, as well as Britain was ruling in India. Fine. So Britain was in requirement of army as well as ammunition. Ammunition means weapons. Okay. So this army and weapons. To fulfill the requirement of army and weapons now, what they were doing, they were forcefully recruiting Indian people into the British army. That was not at all good, because somebody was very happy in doing farming, somebody was very happy in doing as a work of labor, and a worker in the factory or anywhere else. So if you are forcefully recruiting somebody into the army, then it is not at all recommended. Okay, but on that time Britishers were doing it. So forceful recruitment of the Indian people into the British army was one of the biggest reason why Indians were not happy with the Britishers. Apart from that, during that time, the crop was not that much produced very nicely, and on that time there was a bad harvest. But these Britishers, instead of supporting to the Indian farmers, they started collecting more revenues. Why they were collecting more revenues? Because when they will collect more revenues, more taxes, then they will get more money, and if they will get more money, they can purchase or they can make more weapons. Okay, so for fulfillment of the requirement of army and weapons, they were exploiting the Indians, and that is why Indians were not happy with the Britishers at all. Fine. So I hope you can understand why this World War I is connected with the Indian struggle for independence. है ना? After that, the next very important episode is 1915, that is Gandhiji returns. Fine. So always remember, Gandhiji has returned from which country? Gandhiji has returned from South Africa. Fine. Gandhiji has returned from South Africa. And you all know South Africa case study is also there in class 9th, chapter number 2 or 3, that is constitutional design. So you all know about this. South Africa, known for their apartheid. Apartheid is a spatial discrimination on the basis of color of skin, है ना? So here, when Gandhiji went to South Africa, so he was also subjected to discrimination, and that is why to end that discrimination in South Africa, he did so many successful satyagrahas, and he was highly super popular before coming in India. Fine. So when he came in India, 1915. So when he came in India, before coming only he was so popular. Okay, why? Because he was very much successful in South Africa against this struggle against discrimination. So remember, he spent in South Africa how many years? 21 years, remember now? So 21 years he spent in South Africa, and at the age of 46, he came in India. So this some important key points we should always remember, that how many years he spent in South Africa, what he was doing in South Africa, and how and when he came in India. So this we must remember. And one more thing you remember, everyone, the Gandhiji has completed his education life in London, graduation in London. Then he went to South Africa, and in South Africa he lived for almost 21 years, as you can see here. So when he came in India now, so India was very new country for him. Okay, so that is why suddenly within a moment he cannot start something. He needs to understand the political, social, cultural dimension of India. That is why he was traveling throughout India for almost 1 year. And after this complete 1 year, he realized that the real India lies in village, and the most important people who are suffering in India, the most biggest victim of the Britishers are the workers, tribal, peasants, farmers. These people are the biggest victim of the Britishers. That is why he take a resolution that now onwards, whatever thing he will do now, he will do for this people who are suffering a lot in India. Okay, so that is about Gandhiji. I have given short introduction about Gandhiji, how he came in India. I hope this is clear to all of you. Now you see here we have the Lucknow Pact. So Lucknow Pact signed in 1916. In this now we must remember one thing. See. During this Indian struggle for independence, two political party was very famous. One was Indian National Congress, and the second one was Muslim League. Okay, remember, one was Indian National Congress. I am writing here. One was Indian National Congress, and the second one was Muslim League. Fine. So remember everyone, Indian National Congress has been formed in in 1980s, and this Muslim League has been formed in 1906, है ना? So remember, Indian National Congress throughout the complete period will be very active, as well as Muslim League will be very, very active. So we have to see them very seriously, because in upcoming events now, these both political parties will be visible a number of times, है ना? So you please remember Indian National Congress and Muslim League. Fine. And one more thing I just want to tell you, Muslim League biggest demand was separate electorate. So what is the meaning of separate electorate? Separate electorate means a kind of separate area where the candidate will be from a particular community, as well as the voters will be also from that community only. All the people will not get voting rights in that particular area, and all the people will not get chance to fight election in that particular area. So that is separate electorate that was demanded by Muslim League for Muslim community. Fine. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Here in this Lucknow Pact, you can see Muslim League has been there with the Indian National Congress, and they both have decided that they both will fight against the Britishers together. But here the blunder what Indian National Congress has did was that they have accepted the demand of separate electorate of Muslim League. You all know separate electorate demand will be very good or very bad. You can see they are demanding separate region, separate area, where they will only fight election and where they will only vote in the election. So it is a kind of division theory which cannot be accepted, है ना? But you remember Indian National Congress has accepted in 1916 because they wanted that Muslims and all other communities should should combine together against the British exploitation, and that is why they have incorporated Muslim League by accepting their demand of separate electorate. But later it will prove to be a huge blunder by the Indian National Congress. You should remember that Lucknow Pact, where Muslim League and Indian National Congress both has joined together. Fine. Apart from that, you must also remember one more thing, that Indian National Congress in 1907. Okay, if you have attended my full lecture during the classes, you must remember I have also given some background information. So in 1907, Indian National Congress has been divided into two parts, that is separate, extremists and moderates, है ना? So extremists and moderates were the people who were playing the soft politics, prayer politics, है ना, pleading politics, whereas the extremist people were the people who wanted to do face-to-face fight with the Britishers, and they wanted to gain the full freedom. Okay, so this two division took place in 1907, that is extremists and moderates. So these extremists and moderates both joined together in this Indian National Congress. Fine. So this is very good news is coming, that is both, that is separatist, the two groups, which is moderates and extremists, has joined together within the Congress, as well as Muslim League and Indian National Congress has also now willing to fight together against the Britishers. So that is very good sign, is very good movement is going on in India after arrival of Gandhiji, you can see. Fine. Now after completing 1 year, Gandhiji started his satyagraha. So I hope till here picture is very much clear till 1916. You must see your notes, as well as wherever you have not added something, you please add there in your notes, है ना? So in that way you will complete it very nicely. Fine. So now we will discuss about this satyagraha. So you must remember Gandhiji has did 3 satyagraha that I'll write here one by one. So the first one was Kheda satyagraha. Sorry. The first one, remember, Champaran satyagraha it was, है ना? Champaran. Then the next one was Kheda. And the last one is Ahmedabad. Okay, so these 3 satyagrahas was there, the Champaran, the Kheda and the Ahmedabad. Fine. So always remember here, this Champaran satyagraha took place in 1916. Fine. 1916. Space is not there. So, and space is not there, that is why I am not writing, but you must remember Champaran satyagraha took place in 1917 and Kheda and Ahmedabad took place in 1918. Okay, respectively. So one by one I am explaining to you. Before explaining, I should say you that all these 3 satyagraha by Gandhiji was highly super successful, And this all three successful satyagraha has taken the popularity of Gandhiji to the above sky, I should say, and people started watching him as their hero, and people started believing in Gandhiji, that yes, Gandhiji is a very big personality who can liberate them from all their problem and suffering. So in that way, Gandhiji was started considering in Indian society. And one more thing, I should tell you that Gandhiji was such a calm and such a simple personality that people were thinking that yes, he is from within us, है ना. And that is why it is said that it was not Gandhiji who has joined Congress, it was the Congress who has joined Gandhiji. So this type of things are there that we should always see and notice, that how the personalities are becoming the global personalities. Fine. So Champaran movement was very very important movement that I should tell you. See, Champaran movement took place because of the indigo cultivation. Now, indigo is the type of crop that is used to produce blue color, that is used in the textile sector for bringing the blue color in our clothes. Here, this indigo cultivation is not at all good for the agricultural land, because once you are doing the indigo cultivation then it can damage your agricultural land permanently. And apart from that, the farmers needs to do great hard work for the indigo cultivation, as well as they were not getting good wages also. So overall, this Champaran is in Bihar, so that is why Bihar peasants started doing protests, and they were not at all willing to do indigo cultivation. That is why Gandhiji was invited by these farmers of Bihar, and Gandhiji started his satyagraha, that is Champaran satyagraha. And once Gandhiji started Champaran satyagraha, then Britishers have removed this indigo plantation from Bihar. So this was successful. After that, we will come to Kheda. As we all know, Kheda is in Gujarat only. So in Kheda, peasants were suffering a lot. Actually, during that particular time of 1980s, the bad harvest was there, as I have also mentioned when I was explaining you this World War I. So because of the bad harvest, farmers were not having any production, and once they were not having any production, what they will sell in the market? And if they will not sell anything in the market, how they will get any profit? So farmers were suffering a lot. But in the time of crisis, when the Britishers should support the peasants, at that time, the Britishers were trying to collect more and more revenues from the farmers, which was not at all accepted by the farmers. And that is why farmers again invited Gandhiji, and Gandhiji has again started satyagraha, and it was again very very successful. So you can understand this was also successful event. And after that, we have the Ahmedabad mill worker strike that also took place in Gujarat only. Actually, what happened in Ahmedabad mill worker strike, here the mill workers were facing a lot of problem, because they were working for long hours, they were not getting proper wages, their living condition was very pathetic, they were not getting any safety tools and technologies also. So because of that, they demanded better wages and better facility, and for that purpose they again invited Gandhiji, and Gandhiji again did satyagraha, and it was again super successful, है ना? So you all remember, Champaran was related to indigo cultivation, Kheda was related to high revenues that was collected from the peasants, and Ahmedabad mill workers strike related to workers who are getting very low wages and less facilities. I hope these satyagrahas were very much understood to all of you. Now I hope till from here to here picture is clear. Now we will come to this part, that is 1919, which is very very important. But before that, I just want to tell you that you can see all the good things are happening once after the arrival of Gandhiji. See, Lucknow Pact took place, then satyagraha were also highly successful, है ना? So these were all very good things were going on, and because of that, people were feeling united that yes, our leaders are doing something very interesting, something very good. So that is why people are coming together, and the movement were becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So obviously Britishers will not feel good, and that is why to break this whole thing, Britishers have brought one very controversial act which was called as Rowlatt Act. As you can see here in your screen, this Rowlatt Act came in 1919. Under this Rowlatt Act, if anybody is protesting against the Britishers, or if anybody is criticizing any Britishers or British policies, British government or British policies, then he or she will be arrested for 2 years without any trial, without any investigation, and without any evidences. Means 2 years is not a small amount of time. It is very big time if you are in spending in jail. So jail or prison is something which can give nightmare to the protesters, because it is not at all acceptable. And once again I'm repeating, under the Rowlatt Act, if somebody is protesting against the British government or British policies, then he or she can be arrested for 2 years in jail without any trial, without any investigation, and without any evidences. So which is very controversial act, and it was not at all acceptable at all. Fine. So that is why Indians have protested against the Rowlatt Act. They have conducted satyagrahas also, and finally one peaceful satyagraha was going on in this Jallianwala Bagh, which is in Punjab, Amritsar. And the date you must remember, the date was 13th of April, है ना? This Jallianwala Bagh में से अगर I'm telling to you, 13th of April, है ना? 13th of April, the date you must remember. This date is also very special because on that day we were having one very important festival which was called as Baisakhi festival. Yes, so it was called as Baisakhi festival. So here now in this Jallianwala Bagh, first of all I should tell you about the campus. So Jallianwala Bagh was such a type of campus where only one entry was there for both entry purpose as well as exit purpose. One gate was there only, and the wall of the Jallianwala Bagh was so high that you cannot jump out fine from that wall. And there was so many wells also, kuएं in Hindi we say. So that is about the campus of Jallianwala Bagh. So here now on 13th of April, people were celebrating their festival also, that is Baisakhi festival, as well as some people were also protesting against the British these policies, exploitative policies. But once this particular gathering came to known by General Dyer, on that time General Dyer was controlling the entire region. So General Dyer with his entire troop marched towards the Jallianwala Bagh, and he has completely blocked that particular gate, entry gate, and with his entire troops he entered into the Jallianwala Bagh, and without giving warning to the protesters and to the people who are gathered there, including children in that particular group, in that particular crowd. Children were there, women were there, aged people were there, apart from young people, है ना? So they have not given even a single warning, and without giving a single warning, they have General Dyer has given order to the troops that go and kill all the people who are there. Thousands of bullets have been fired at the Indians, and more than 1,000 people have died immediately. So many people have jumped onto the well and they died later, which is later called as death well, है ना? So in that way, this black day or the very dark side of the Britishers is this Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Fine. After this Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the investigation took place, and the Britishers have did investigation in which instead of punishing General Dyer, he was promoted, and he said that under whatever circumstances he has taken decision was the correct decision, and instead of punishing General Dyer was promoted and he was sent to Britain, London. So that type of investigation, that type of particular judgment was given by the Britishers. So you can see how fair they were. Fine. After that, what happened? The entire Indians were very, very angry, and in the same year, what happened? The particular 1918 World War I over, na? Remember, World War I started in 1914 and it was over in 1918. And whatever treaties, agreement took place, that took place in 1919. So in 1919, one country was there which was known as Ottoman Empire. है ना? So Ottoman Empire lost the World War I, and that is why Britishers has imposed penalty over Ottoman Empire, that the Khalifa, the leader of the Ottoman Empire, will be removed from his post. Okay, no problem, he will be removed. But the problem was, the Khalifa was not only the political leader of the Ottoman Empire, but he was also the religious head religious head of not only the Ottoman Empire, that is today it is known as Turkey, but it was the religious head of the entire Islamic world. So once he was removed from his post now, then the entire Muslim from the entire world was very angry on the Britishers. Okay, so that particular one episode of the Ottoman Empire Khalifa was taken as an opportunity by Gandhiji. As you all know, Gandhiji was an advocate by profession and he was having very sharp brain. So he looked it as an opportunity to unite both Hindu, Muslim as well as other communities together, because as you all know, because of Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the entire nation was very upset. And when this Khalifa episode took place, so Muslims also became very angry on the Britishers. So that is why the Gandhiji as well as two Muslim brothers were there who was known as Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. They both have combined together and they thought to start one movement which will be known as Khilafat movement, है ना? So Khilafat movement will be against the decision by Britishers to remove Khalifa from their post. Okay, so I hope this Khilafat movement is clear to all of you. After that now you come in 1920. Fine. So in 1920 what happened, that the month was of September. Okay. So September month was going on, and in this September month where the Calcutta session was there of Indian National Congress in the September 1920, in which for the first time it was decided that there should be one movement where we can launch this Khilafat movement as well as this non-cooperation movement. Okay, how this non-cooperation movement idea came? So this non-cooperation movement idea came from the Gandhi's one book was there. Mahatma Gandhiji has written one book in 1909 which was known as Hindu Swaraj. Remember na, Hindu Swaraj has been written by Gandhiji in which year? 1909. Okay, so Gandhiji has written one book which was known as Hindu Swaraj, in which he has said that we are under the control of British government. Why? Because we are giving them cooperation, we are giving them support. The day when we will withdraw our support and cooperation, they can not rule over us more than 1 year and they have to leave our country within 1 year. Fine. So Gandhiji has given success mantra that how we can get rid of the Britishers. The success mantra is don't give them any support, don't give them any cooperation. So that is why for the first time in India in 1920 September in Calcutta session they have decided, means they have just discussed that we should start non-cooperation movement and this Khilafat movement together. And finally in 1920 that is the Nagpur session of December in the month December they have conducted Nagpur session in 1920 December, where officially they have decided that they will go for non-cooperation movement plus Khilafat movement, So finally when it is started, this decision has been taken place December 1920 and it is started from January 1921. Okay, so remember this non-cooperation movement started from 1921 and it will be there to 1922. Non-cooperation movement, I am telling to you all. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. Now here in this non-cooperation movement we will not give them any cooperation, we will boycott everything. We will boycott their clothes, we will boycott their products, we will boycott everything what things belong to Britishers, and we will also boycott their elections. So when we were willing to boycott elections now, so some members within the Congress were not agree to boycott elections because they wanted that we should fight election. After fighting election we should come into the power, and after coming power we should protest against the Britishers with more powerful voice. So they were thinking like that, but ultimately all people have decided together that they will boycott election also. There is only one political party who has not boycotted election in India, which was called as Madras Party. In Madras one party was there which was called as Justice Party, and the Justice Party is the party of non-Brahmins, and Justice Party was thinking that throughout the past, throughout the present, all the time Brahmins were in power, and this is high time that when they have boycotted the election, we should fight the election and we should come into the power. So that is why they have they have participated in the election, and it was a single party. So you must remember this question also comes that which party participated in the election during the non-cooperation movement. So party name is Justice Party, from which place? Madras. Okay, so I hope you will remember this. And now let's talk about the non-cooperation movement. So beta, this non-cooperation movement, you can see this from multiple angle, like how this non-cooperation movement taken in countryside, how this has taken in urban areas, how this has taken in tribal areas, and how this has taken in plantation sites, है ना. So one by one I'll explain you everything, you please watch it. So first of all we'll start from the which place? We will start from the urban areas. Okay, so let's start from the urban areas. So in urban areas, teachers have stopped going to the universities, schools, colleges, and students have also boycotted universities, schools, and colleges. है ना. Apart from that, we have a number of other professionals like advocates. They have also stopped practicing in the courts and judiciary. Apart from that, so many other professionals were there. They have also boycotted their particular job, the government job. They have boycotted. So many people were there who have boycotted their titles also. So in this way, people were protesting in the urban areas, and in urban areas they have also boycotted the foreign goods, and they have also burned the foreign goods in huge bonfire. And that is all the response which was coming from the urban areas. Fine. And since we have boycotted the foreign goods, it was giving huge economic loss to the Britishers. The study shows that almost 50% of the import has been reduced from the Britain. You can understand, 50%. Suppose if you were importing 100 crore rupees of product, then it came down to 50 crore rupees. So that type of effect we have given to the Britishers, economic loss we have given to the Britishers, which was the big victory for Indians, है ना. After that I'll tell you about the countryside. So in countryside, in village areas, the main enemy was not Britishers directly, because in a countryside you all know the farmers are basically living, the peasants are living. So basically these peasants were also divided in two parts, the rich peasants, the poor peasants, So the poor peasants were exploited a lot by the rich peasants, by the zamindars, by the moneylenders, and that is why for small and for poor peasants now, the biggest enemy was those the big landlords, the big farmers, and the moneylenders. They were the big enemies for small peasants, poor peasants. Okay, so one very big name was there in this particular area, which was known as Baba Ramchandra. So Baba Ramchandra has organized the entire movement of the peasants, as well as in 1920 he has also formed one very important organization which is called as Awadh Kisan Sabha. And this Awadh Kisan Sabha has been started and has been formed by the Baba Ramchandra with the help of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So this you must remember, this also comes, that is Awadh Kisan Sabha. Okay. Apart from that, I should also tell you one thing, that in this particular movement Nai and Dhobi have also given great support, because Nai and Dhobi, Nai means what? The barber, and Dhobi means washerman. So Nai and Dhobi, these communities have also given great support to this entire movement, and they have said that they will not give their services to the landlords, to the moneylenders, and to the rich peasants. So this you must remember about the countryside. In countryside now, sometimes people were becoming violent, and sometimes they were attacking to the houses of moneylenders, to the houses of big zamindars, because you imagine they were not having even a single paisa in their pocket. So what they will do? They were not having anything to eat. So ultimately they were attacking to the market, they were attacking to the houses of big landlords and rich peasants, which was sometimes turning violent also. So in 1921 especially, I should tell you, in 1921 peasants, the small peasants, poor peasants have attacked the market, and they have looted the market, and they have distributed all the things among themselves. So this type of things were visible in the countryside. Now we'll discuss about the tribal areas. So you all know in class 9th also you have read about the tribals in chapter number 4 of history. class ninth, that Britishers, when they came in India, they have made a number of laws under which they have indirectly, directly removed tribals from their home, that is forest, है ना. They have brought Forest Act, they have brought a number of other laws through which now these tribal people cannot use the forest resources easily. They cannot live in the forest very easily. They cannot use the forest land for the pasture purpose, for the grazing purpose, for their animals. So that is why tribals were very angry with the Britishers, and they were considering Britishers as Dikus, Daku, है ना. This type of title they have given to the Britishers. And one such great personality was there from the Andhra Pradesh region, from the Godem Hills, which was known as Alluri Sitaram Raju. You always remember his name, Alluri Sitaram Raju. Alluri Sitaram Raju was master in guerrilla warfare technique. Guerrilla warfare technique doesn't mean that you will bring gorilla and you will attack on the Britishers with the gorilla. No. What is the meaning of guerrilla warfare technique? That you will hide yourself under the ambush. Ambush means the hidden jhadiyan under which you will hide yourself. So within this ambush, you will hide yourself, and when the Britishers are coming now, suddenly with full force, with full speed, you are attacking on the Britishers, so that they will not get even a single second, and within a short period of time you will attack on them and you will finish their chapter. Fine. So this type of technique is known as guerrilla warfare technique. And Alluri Sitaram Raju was master on it, and he was practicing this particular technique in Godem Hills, है ना. So I hope you remember. Alluri Sitaram Raju was respecting a lot Gandhiji. He was very much agree with the Gandhiji's thought of boycotting the British goods, but he was disagree with Gandhiji on one point, that Gandhiji was the believer in non-violence, whereas the Alluri Sitaram Raju was thinking that violence is the path to achieve the independence, है ना. So these two ideologies were there, but their target was same, that is freedom. I hope this is clear from the tribal areas. Now we'll discuss from the plantation sites, that what was the scene from the plantation sites during this non-cooperation movement. So dear, in plantation sites now, plantation is what the big areas will be there where the large particular production will be there of the similar crops, one crop, है ना, like tea plantation, rubber plantation, coffee plantation, you all know. So in that particular site now, huge number of workers are required, and these workers were coming from the states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, and here the people were given false promises that they will give very high quality of salary and living style and all type of promises they have did to the workers and laborers. And when the workers and laborers came to these plantation sites, then they saw the reality. The reality was, once they came in these plantation sites, now they cannot go back to their home, है ना. They are now working like a bonded labor. Fine. And to stop them from moving out from that particular place, the Britishers especially have brought one very controversial act, which was known as Inland Immigration Act 1859, under which the particular workers who are working in these plantation sites, first of all they have to take permission from the Britishers, and then only they can leave that particular place. So it was I am telling to you, suppose 100 workers were applying to the Britishers now, so hardly one farmer were getting chance to go back to the his home, or but that also very rare. You can understand that nobody was allowed to go back to their home. So that is why for these plantation workers, the freedom means to go back to their home. The Swaraj means to go back someday to their home. And they have heard about the Gandhiji, that Gandhiji is a very good and big leader, and that is why they were thinking that one day Gandhi rule will come. And they were chanting slogan like Gandhi Maharaj ki jai and Gandhi Maharaj ki jai, and they were also chanting one more slogan, that is Swatantra Bharat, hai na. So this type of activities were going from the plantation sites. So I hope this non-cooperation movement is pretty much clear to all of you. Now you must ask one question, that is how this non-cooperation movement ended when it was going so successful. So it was ended in 1922, as I have already written here. So this ended in 1922 because of an unfortunate episode took place in the parts of Chauri Chaura, that is in Uttar Pradesh. So what happened? This Chauri Chaura place now one peaceful rally was going on and which was passing through one police station, है ना? So this police station policemen they have started giving abuse and wrong words to the people who were marching a peaceful rally from that particular place. So the people have not responded initially, but the police have continued to give abusive words, wrong words to the people who are doing the marching and rallies. Suddenly the people have caught one member from the rally and they have started beating that particular person without any reason, so when that particular one person was beaten up very badly by the British police, so other people means it will be genuine reaction. They cannot they cannot means wait and see one person was beaten very badly. So what these villagers and these people who were doing the protest, they became very angry and with all their weapons means they all their sickle and all they have attacked on the police station. They were having the fire also in their hand, and when police tried to save themselves, they have locked themselves into the police station so that the protesters will not catch them. But protesters have burned the entire police station, and around 22 policemen died on the same day, that is 4th of February 1922, which is known as Chauri Chaura incident. And next day this particular Chauri Chaura incident spread like a forest fire, and everyone started talking, means the media, the newspaper was under the control of Britishers. So they have also enlarged the episode. See, in Jallianwala Bagh massacre they have killed thousands of Indians, but nobody said anything. But here around 22 policemen were killed by the Indians. So they were showing it like Indians under the leadership of Gandhiji has taken the path of violence. They were breaking rules and regulation. They were killing our innocent policemen. So this type of hi-fi propaganda they were spreading in the Indian society as well as other parts of the world also. So when this particular thing came to known by the Gandhiji immediately stopped this particular non-cooperation movement, because Gandhiji was a great believer in non-violence and he cannot tolerate this type of things. But when this particular movement was called off, it was moving on its great momentum. It was going on with great momentum. And when Gandhiji was taking this decision now, so a number of leaders came to Gandhiji and requested Gandhiji that Gandhiji should not take this particular decision, because it is tit for tat. They have killed over thousands of people, so we have also killed their few policemen. So it is tit for tat, and by this particular magnitude and this particular size of movement when it is going on, some small this violence based activity will to take place. So this type of requests were coming from the leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as well as Muhammad Ali Jinnah. They all have requested to Gandhiji that Gandhiji should not call off this movement. Okay, but ultimately Gandhiji has listened to his soul and Gandhiji has taken decision to stop this movement. Okay, you comment below and let us know whether Gandhiji's decision you agree or not. Okay, so this is all about the non-cooperation movement that took place from 1921 to 1922. How it started, how it has taken by the different societies of the country, and how it has ended, that we have completely seen in this non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement is very important. One question definitely comes in your examination from non-cooperation movement, so that you must see. Okay, after that we have the next very important chapter, next very important topic, that is called as 1923 to 30, that is towards civil disobedience movement, है ना. So Gandhiji always wanted to start civil disobedience movement. So once it particular non-cooperation movement was over now, then Gandhiji was willing to start civil disobedience movement, but it cannot start within one day. And you all remember when this non-cooperation movement was over in 1922, so Britishers have started one investigation, and in that investigation they have found one person who was responsible for the whole movement, and the person was Gandhiji. and that is why Gandhiji was sent to jail for 6 years. Remember, na? In 1922, Gandhiji has sent for jail. Gandhiji is sent to jail for 6 years, and you just try to understand. Gandhiji has only stopped this all movement, and now he was sent into jail for 6 years. Na? But remember, within 2 years, Gandhiji released in 1924 because of the poor health condition. है ना? Because Britishers knew that if Gandhiji will die in jail, na, then people will become mad and then they can do anything. Okay, so that is why Britishers have not taken any panga with Gandhiji and they have released Gandhiji in 1924 only. I hope till here picture is very much clear. Now we'll start this particular topic, that is what took place in India from 1923 to 1930, which is also called as towards civil disobedience movement, है ना? So here first of all, event by event, I will write all the important things. So here first of all, now one party has been formed that is known as Swaraj Party. Swaraj Party in 1923. Okay, Swaraj Party in 1923. Then after that, as you all know, Gandhiji released from jail in 1924. So I am not writing that. After that, one commission was set up in that was known as Simon Commission. That took place in 1927. Means that setup took place in 1927, but this Simon Commission came in India in 1928. Fine. After that, now one more thing you must remember, that is Lahore session. The Lahore session is also very important. That took place in 1929. है ना? Lahore session that took place in 1929. And after that, we have also celebrated first Independence Day celebration. है ना? First Independence Day celebration that took place in 26th of January 1930. That took place in 26th of January 1935. So these many things took place in this 1923 to 30, that is known as towards civil disobedience. So one by one we will discuss about this. So let's start this. Swaraj Party, came in 1923, and the main purpose of the Swaraj Party is to fight election and come into power. That was the main objective. And who was the founder of the Swaraj Party? Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. So C.R. Das means Chittaranjan Das, है ना? When I was telling you this non-cooperation movement, so when people have decided to boycott election, some people were not happy to boycott election. They wanted to continue election. They wanted to continue to participate in election. So here, those people, after 1922, Gandhiji has been arrested, non-cooperation movement has been stopped, है ना? They were not having anything to do. So that is why they formed one political party, that was Swaraj Party, and they started fighting in election. Okay. After that, now in in 1927, Simon Commission was set up in British Parliament to look after the political and constitutional future of India. And this Simon Commission came in India in 1928. But when the Simon Commission came in India in 1928, they have greeted with slogan that is "Go Back Simon." With slogan "Go Back Simon," है ना? Or Simon Go Back. Fine. So this slogan "Simon Go Back" has been there by the Indian people. Indian people were not liking this Simon Commission. Why? Because in this entire Simon Commission, no Indian were member, and they have came in India to decide the future constitution of India. You can understand how how problematic it is, how controversial it is. Means they are deciding the Indian constitution without an Indian member. So it cannot be acceptable at all. So that is why people have protested against the Simon Commission, and the leader of the Simon Commission was Sir John Simon, है ना? So when people were protesting against the Simon Commission, so one great leader was there whose name was Lala Lajpat Rai. So Lala Lajpat Rai ji, remember, he has been killed in lathi charge by the British police, and Lala Lajpat Rai ji was protesting this Simon Commission, and because of that he was martyred. So you remember about the Lala Lajpat Rai ji also. So I hope till here picture is clear. Now finally, after 1 year, this Simon Commission has given the recommendation, that is 1929 they have given the recommendation, that is the dominion status should be the dominion status as well as round table conference. So how many proposal they have given? the two ideas, two proposals they have given, that is roundtable conference and dominion status. This roundtable conference and dominion status proposal has been accepted by the Viceroy of India on that time. So who was the Viceroy? Lord Irwin. And what is the meaning of Viceroy? Viceroy was the supreme authority of India, British India during that time. Na? So remember, na, Viceroy was very highest post, you can say, within the British India on that time. So the Viceroy of India, Lord Irwin, has also given his approval of this dominion status and roundtable conference. So I will tell you what is dominion status and what is roundtable conference. Na? So roundtable conference means the table will be round. Yes, it is true. The table will be round, and it will not take place in India. It will take place in London. And in this particular meeting, all the political major parties representative will participate, and they will discuss on the political and constitutional future of India. Fine. Once again, I am repeating, they will discuss on political and constitutional future of India. I hope till here picture is clear very much. And the second very important thing is dominion status. So dominion status is a type of controversial concept in which you will not get full independence, you will get half independence. What is the meaning? Suppose India will become independent and India will get title of dominion status. Means India will not be the completely independent country. Even after independence, India will be under the British crown, British queen, है ना? So that type of half independence concept was there, that is dominion status. So obviously which will not be liked by the Indians, and especially the leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. They have straight away rejected this particular proposal, and in 1929 from the Lahore session of Indian National Congress, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has announced that India will take Purna Swaraj. So what is the meaning of Purna Swaraj? The complete independence, है ना? So you remember, this is very famous slogan. This is, that is, India will take Purna Swaraj, nothing less than that. And after that, I also tell you that from this particular session only it has been announced that the next year, that is 1930, 26th of January will be celebrated as the Indian Independence Day. So remember, for the first time we have celebrated our Independence Day in which year? In 26th of January 1930. So in that way you can understand very important and interesting things were going on in this particular phase of 1923 to 1930. Fine. The leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose was doing excellent work in this particular time period. Now we'll discuss this one, that is civil disobedience movement. Fine. So here this is also very important topic, because here from here also one 5 marks question always comes in examination. So let's start that. So here, so far after this non-cooperation movement, in this entire particular part, we have not discussed about Gandhiji. But you remember, Gandhiji was there and Gandhiji was watching everything. So Gandhiji was watching everything, and Gandhiji thought that this is very high time when we can unite people further and we can do one very big movement, है ना? So that is why he started one very important particular, he wanted to start one very famous, one very big movement. But before that, he has demanded 11 things from the Lord Irwin on the 31st of January 1930. And in this particular 11 demands, so many things were there, like the tax should be removed from the salt. That was the most important demand was there. Apart from that, they were also demanding for the laborers, peasants, workers, and a number of other demands were also there in these 11 demands. And one more thing you always remember, that when this particular demand came to Britishers now, so Britishers, especially the Lord Irwin, was taking this as a joke, and he was taking Gandhiji very lightly, that what this old man can do with the power of salt. Means they were initially not taking Gandhiji very lightly. Means they were thinking that let him do whatever he want to do, we will not even accept his single demand. That was the statement of Lord Irwin. And then Gandhiji has given the time to Britishers till 12th of March. Sorry, till 11th of March, Gandhiji has given the time to the Britishers. But Britishers till 11th of March they have not even accepted the single demand from of Gandhiji, and finally 12th of March, है ना, remember I am writing the date here, that is 12th of March. Okay, so 12th of March, because when Britishers have not accepted even the single demand of Gandhiji, so Gandhiji was very angry, and that is why from 12th of March Gandhiji has started Dandi March. Remember, na? Very famous this march was there. That was Dandi March. So Dandi March started from the 12th of March, and it will be there. It will this Dandi March will finally complete on 6th of April 1930. है ना, 6th of April 1930 it will complete. So let's little bit discuss about the Dandi March also. See, Dandi March started from 12th of March. It will be there for 24 days, है ना? It will be there for how many days? 24 days. And Gandhiji along with his 78 volunteers have completed 240 miles. The distance 240 miles from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. Dandi was a coastal place, है ना? So they have started from Sabarmati Ashram and they were moving to Dandi. So the distance between Sabarmati Ashram and Dandi was 240 miles, and they have completed within 24 days. And wherever they were going now, so it was looking like a white river is flowing. That type of particular historical scene was visible from this Dandi March. And Gandhiji was welcomed with the garland, with the flowers, with so many things. People were welcoming like Gandhiji was coming like a god. Lord Ram is coming. So this type of welcome people have given to Gandhiji. It was really historical. Pictures were there from that particular Dandi March. And finally it was over in 6th of April. And when it was over in 6th of April now, so Gandhiji has broken the salt law by making salt in Arabian Sea, because you all know Gujarat is located in Arabian Sea, near Arabian Sea only. So in that way this entire Dandi March was over. And once this Dandi March over, Gandhiji officially started civil disobedience movement, है ना? So just after Dandi March, civil disobedience movement is started. So when civil disobedience movement is started, how it is different from the non-cooperation movement? Remember, in non-cooperation movement now we are just not giving cooperation to the Britishers, but in this civil disobedience movement we are not giving cooperation to the Britishers, as well as we are breaking the laws also, we are breaking the rules and regulations also, है ना? Like Gandhiji has broken salt law. So similarly other communities have also stopped doing n number of things. Like for example, the peasants have stopped giving chowkidari tax and other taxes, other revenues. Chowkidari tax was a very controversial tax. What it is? So what it was? So chowkidari tax was, as I told you, very controversial tax. And here now the Britishers were forcefully telling to villagers that you should keep one chowkidar, you should keep one security guard, and even if you are not willing to have, then also they were forcing you to have one chowkidar. And this chowkidar people's payment you have to do from your own pocket, okay? And these chowkidars, these particular security guards, instead of providing you security, they were doing jasusi, or they were doing spy work of you, and they were taking all the hidden information from the village areas and they were providing to these Britishers. So that is why this chowkidari tax were very controversial. Apart from that, the tribals also have stopped following the forest law and the tribal laws, and they started using the forest resources and other particular activities they have also started doing in the tribal area. So they also stopped this particular forest law. Who? Tribal people, n number of places in India, people from n number of places in India have started manufacturing the salt, and that is why this civil disobedience movement was becoming very famous throughout India. And finally this was the action which was taken by the Indians. And Indians have also boycotted the foreign goods. They have also picketed the liquor shop. Picketed liquor shops means they have forcefully stopped the liquor shop. And apart from that, the forest clothes were also boycotted. So n number of things were going on in this particular civil disobedience movement. People have also boycotting their titles and all. So this type of activities were also going during the civil disobedience movement. You can see these are similar to this non-cooperation movement. Fine. But there are differences also in this non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement that I'll tell you. And one question is also coming, that what is the difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. So one I have already told you. Here only we are stopping cooperation and support, and here we are stopping cooperation and support as well as we are breaking the laws. So one particular difference I have already told you. Second difference you can tell about the year, that 1921 to 22. Here it is 1932 34, है ना बेटा. This civil disobedience movement took place in two phases. Remember ना, two phases. Phase number 1 and phase number 2. I'll write here. That is, phase number 1 and phase number 2. So here phase number 1 and here we have phase number 2. Fine. So phase number 1 took place from 1930 to 31 and phase number 2 took place from 1932 to 34, है ना. So how these two phases stopped, that also I'll tell you in detail. Okay. So here now we will complete everything today. Fine. So this action you can see from the Indians, they were boycotting the things, they were breaking the laws and number of things they were doing. Fine. Peasants were not following the rules, the tribals were not following the rules, the common people were not following the rules, है ना. After that what happened, the Britishers now started taking action because people were breaking rules and regulations. So Britishers were directly arresting the people and they were putting in jail. So around 1 lakh people have been arrested, including all the big leaders like Abdul Ghaffar Khan. One very big name was there, who was the biggest supporter of Gandhiji, one of the biggest supporter of Gandhiji. Abdul Ghaffar Khan was also known as Frontier Gandhi because he was a very big follower of Gandhiji. That is why he was also known as Frontier Gandhi. So when Abdul Ghaffar Khan was arrested now, so people have become very angry on the Britishers. And later some people were there who were acting like a middleman. Means they were also in the connection with Indian National Congress, as well as they were in the connection with what? Britishers also. Fine. So these middleman people only made an environment where both Britishers as well as this Indian National Congress representative can talk together, that what can be the solution. So through this mediator only, Lord Irwin, you remember on that time Lord Irwin, who initially taken Gandhiji very lightly, now Lord Irwin is taking things very seriously because the things are increasing and increasing only. Fine. That is why Lord Irwin has given proposal to the Gandhiji that if Gandhiji will stop this civil disobedience movement, then all political prisoners who have been arrested will be released, as well as whatever demand has been said by the Gandhiji will be also discussed in a round table conference. Okay. So Gandhiji was having this particular promise from the Lord Irwin, as well as Gandhiji was also watching that some parts of the country were witnessing violent activities. So by keeping everything in mind, finally Gandhiji has stopped this particular first phase of civil disobedience movement in 1931, and after signing Gandhi-Irwin Pact, remember na? So Gandhi-Irwin Pact took place in 1931. So after signing Gandhi-Irwin Pact, officially Gandhiji has stopped this this civil disobedience movement first phase, and he went to round table conference which was taking place in London, and it was second round table conference. Remember, there was total 3 round table conferences were there. Round table conference number 1, round table conference number 2, and round table conference number 3. Round table conference number 1 took place in 1930. Round table conference number 2 took place in 1931, and round table conference number 3 took place in 1932. So Gandhiji has only participated in second round table conference, that is 1931 one, and here one leader was there who has participated in the entire 3 round table conference, and the name of the leader is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And here you must remember why Gandhiji has not participated in the first round table conference. You remember here in this one, the hot session. Okay, so people were very angry because of the dominant status, and the leader such as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said that we want Purna Swaraj, we don't want your dominant status, we don't want your round table conference. So Indian National Congress as well as other political parties including Muslim League and all, they have boycotted the round table conference. That is why the round table conference number 1 was Gandhiji has not participated. Okay, I hope this is clear. So when Gandhiji went to this round table conference, So remember, round table conference was not a big success for Gandhiji, it was a big failure. Why? Because whatever demand was there of the Gandhiji was not fulfilled by the Britishers, and with zero result Gandhiji came back to India. And when he came back to India, he saw that the Indian National Congress has been declared illegal party, and the leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has been arrested. So Gandhiji was very upset, and people were also angry with Gandhiji, because again Gandhiji has stopped the civil disobedience movement, like non cooperation movement in between only, and the promises what has been made by Gandhiji was not fulfilled to the people of India. That is why the people were not happy with Gandhiji, and when Gandhiji started again the civil disobedience movement, so people have not given their that much support, है ना? And finally it ended after 2 years in 1934. Okay, so remember, this civil disobedience movement took place in two phases, that is phase number 1 and phase number 2. Phase number 1 from the 1930 to 31 is stopped because of Gandhi Irwin Pact, now remember, and phase number 2 is stopped because of lack of participation from the people, है ना? So this is one more difference you can see. Here the why the particular movement is stopped, the reason is different, and here why the movement is stopped, because of the Chauri Chaura incident, है ना? So I hope this is clear to all of you. Parallelly, you please make the differences also between the civil disobedience movement and this non-cooperation movement. I hope this is clear to everyone so far. After that, I'll tell you how the different participants were watching this civil disobedience movement, like how the peasants were watching, how the industrialists were watching, how the laborers were watching, how the women were watching, how the Dalit peoples were watching, how the Muslims were watching. This everything I'll tell you in a very quick, time. So you just try to understand everything. Fine. First of all, I'll tell you about the peasants. Okay. So peasants were of two types, as you all know, है ना? Rich peasants and poor peasants. Okay. So rich peasants were always, always having very good relation with the, Britishers, and whenever Britishers wanted support, so rich peasants have always given their support. But during this, civil disobedience movement, you remember, in this time one very important, hard time was going on, which was known as the, Great Economic Depression. You all remember in class 9th, you might have heard this Great Economic Depression in Nazism chapter. Great Economic Depression was going on. Fine. So because of this Great Economic Depression now, Great Economic Depression that was also going on in this particular period, the entire world was facing hardship, and in this particular hardship, especially the farmers were facing great problem. So in this particular crisis time, when the farmers have requested to Britishers that please take less revenue or no revenue from us, so what Britishers said, Britishers replied that don't care, don't even think about it. Okay, we will take as we were taking before. Our revenues will be that only; it will not be reduced. So that is why the rich peasants became very angry, and they thought that these Britishers are very very bad people, and that is why we should not support them, and we should remove them by supporting Indian National Congress. That is why the rich peasants such as such as Jats and Patidars, they have given their support to Indian National Congress. I hope this is clear to all of you. Now come to the poor peasants, है ना? So poor peasants were not having direct, tension with the Britishers. Instead of that, their bigger, enemies were those moneylenders, those rich peasants, those zamindars who were exploiting them a lot, those landlords who were exploiting them a lot. And this particular, big peasants, rich peasants, and zamindars, they were giving land to the landless farmers and the poor farmers, and in return, they were taking high revenues. So, and high rent also. So what these small farmers demanding from the Indian National Congress, that they should not take any rent from the poor peasants, and they have started one movement which was called as no rent movement, है ना? So this no rent movement was started by poor peasants. Now I am asking to you, this particular dilemma you can see between rich peasants and poor peasants. So Congress will support whom? Congress will support rich peasants, and Congress will support poor peasants. Please answer below and let us know. Fine. After explaining the next topic now, I'll tell you that they have supported whom. Okay. So here the next very important thing is that is industries. So in industries, owners were also there and workers were also there. So owners were demanding the different thing, workers were demanding different things. So let's first of all discuss about the owners, है ना. So owners were demanding that they should get protection from the imports which was coming from the foreign countries like France, Britain and all, because the imported goods were cheap in price and better in quality. So everybody was purchasing imported goods only, and these local businessmen were not getting any profit, है ना. So that is why they wanted protection from the imported goods. The second one is this particular big owners like JD Birla and Purushottam Thakur, they have formed unions such as FICCI and IICC, है ना, to protect their interest, such as IICC stand for Indian Congress, Indian Chamber of Commercial and Commercial Congress, such like that it is, you can see, and FICCI, that is FICCI, FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. So these two particular organization they have set up. This IICC established in 1920 and FICCI has been established in 1927, है ना. So this type of request was coming from this businessman and the owners. Also they wanted protection from the also they demanded to the government that they should keep the exchange ratio in such a way that they should get protection, है ना, and their export activities should be promoted so that they can get more profit, है ना. So this type of demand were demanded by the rich owners, businessmen. On the other side, workers. So workers, what they demanded better facilities, they demanded better wages, है ना. So this type of basic demands were there from the workers. So ultimately again I am asking to you, in this time also Britishers will support whom, the workers or the owners, है ना. So in both the cases, in peasant case also and in this industries case also, the Indian National Congress has supported rich peasants as well as owners, है ना. Why? Because to run this entire big movement they need money, and who will give money? The money will be provided by rich peasants and big businessmen. Okay, and sometimes these workers and this particular small peasants now, they were involved in violent activities. So since they were involved in violent activities, that is why also sometimes Congress was making themselves side from the small peasants. Okay, so I hope this small peasants and this industries point is very much clear to all of you. After that, the next very important thing is about women, है ना. So this women also you can take into two parts, that is urban women and rural women, है ना. So basically rural women were coming from the rich peasants families, and urban women were coming from the high caste families, है ना. And they have protested a lot, they have given great support in this entire civil disobedience movement. This is also one difference between civil disobedience movement and non-cooperation movement. So what is this? In this civil disobedience movement, women have participated very actively, but in this non-cooperation movement, women were very passive. So this is also one difference. Although they have actively participated in the civil disobedience movement, but they could not get the desired demand what they were. They could not get the desired result what they were demanding from beginning. Okay, they demanded better representation in the political parties, but they were not getting. They were just for the namesake given one or two small posts, but the bigger posts were kept by the male counterparts only. Fine. So this was about from the women. After that, I should tell you about the Dalits. Okay, so Dalits were not participative in this particular civil disobedience movement. Why? Because in this Indian National Congress now, Indian National Congress was dominated by high caste conservative Hindus, which were called as Sanatanis. And Sanatanis people were not willing to include Dalit people because it was against their religious belief, है ना. So that is why Congress party sided with the Sanatanis, and they also have not shown any interest to include Dalit into the movement. But Gandhiji always believed that if we want complete independence from the Britishers, it will be the collective struggle. Collective struggle means we have to include Dalits also, we have to include Muslims also, we have to include all other communities of India. Then only we can get the complete independence. Fine. That is why Gandhiji especially has launched after 1934. He has launched Harijan Utthar movement and that is also called as depressed people upliftment movement, and he has given title to these people Harijan. Harijan means Hari means Bhagwan, Jan means people. So they are the people of God. So that type of title has been given by Gandhiji. And later, the one of the biggest leader of this Dalit community, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1930 he has launched one very important organization which is called as Depressed Class Association. So remember na, when Depressed Class Association came up in 1913, who has brought it? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Then in 1932, from beginning na, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was demanding for separate electorate, like Muslims were demanding, Muslim League was demanding. So similarly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was also demanding separate electorate for Dalit people. Fine. But ultimately, because of the protest by the Gandhiji, the Gandhi and Mahatma Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar both have did one agreement which is called as Gandhi-Irvin Pact. And when this Gandhi-Irvin Pact took place in 1932, है ना? So after this 1932 Gandhi-Irvin Pact, it was decided that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar will drop his demand of separate electorate. Instead of that, the Dalit community will be given a reservation in government institution and in political elections, है ना? So from that particular pact only, reservation concept started in India. Which pact? Gandhi-Irvin Pact. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now let's talk about the Muslims. Okay, so Muslims, as you all know, the Muslims were represented here. Means the Muslim party was there, that is Muslim League here, as you can see. I have told you here. And Muslim League from beginning they were demanding for the separate electorate, and later Muhammad Ali Jinnah will become the leader of Muslim League, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah will demand the same thing, that is separate electorate. But when some leader have consulted with Muhammad Ali Jinnah that we will give you reservation, you should drop your demand of separate electorate. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah was agree with this particular proposal, and he was willing to give up his proposal. But one leader from Hindu Mahasabha, whose name was M.R. Jaikar, so M.R. Jaikar came in between, and he said that we will not give reservation, we will not give separate electorate, we will not give anything to this Muslim League, and that is how their trust broken, and they finally demanded for the separate nation in 1940. And this particular nation later it will be known as Pakistan, as you all know, so that is all going on in this particular period. And after that, this particular movement 1935 to 1947, what happened, that I am telling to you. So in 1935 now Government of India Act came. So this, remember, Government of India Act came in 1935, under which provincial means like today's state, like Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra is state, so on that time also we were having around 11 provinces we were having. Fine. So these provinces were given more power, and elections also took place in 1937 after this Government of India Act. And this particular election of 1937, Muslim League has not won even a single seat. Fine. And majority of the seats were won by the Congress party. So Muslim League demanded to the Congress party that please include us also in government. So Congress party said that we will not include you in our government. Fine, do whatever you want to do. So that is why the heart of the Muslim League broken, and the trust is completely broken. And finally in 1940, Muslim League from the Lahore session under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah has demanded for the separate nation. So when officially Muslim League demanded for the separate nation, remember just 7 years before independence, that is 1940. And after that in 1942, we have started this Quit India movement, and this Quit India movement leader was Gandhiji. And Gandhiji has given one very popular slogan, that is do or die, and this was the last big movement before the independence, and after 5 years we will get independence. Okay. Interestingly, 1943 Muslim League has also started one movement which was called as divide and quit. Divide and quit means first of all you do the partition, and then quit the then you force Britishers to quit from India. Fine. After that in 1946, one particular commission came in India which was known as Cabinet Commission, and this Cabinet Commission has given their proposal that a partition is not the solution. The Muslims and Hindus and other communities should live together in India as a brother and sister. So this type of very good proposal has been given by Cabinet Mission, which was not at all accepted by the Muslim League. And after that Muslim League became very angry, and Muslim League has declared Direct Action Day in 1946. And after declaration of this direct action day na, in entire India religious violence took place, है ना. Hindus were killing Muslims, Muslims were killing Hindus, and Britishers were controlling entire law and order, but they were not taking even a single action. They were saying that let them do whatever they want to do, let them kill each other, fine. So what these Britishers were doing, fine. After that Gandhiji was watching everything, and Gandhiji, as you all know, always against the violence. So after watching this entire brutal separation, entire brutal revolt against each other, we can say that Hindus and Muslims both were fighting with each other. So Gandhiji cannot see this particular picture, and that is why finally Gandhiji has also given his consent that yes, partition is the solution. But remember, from beginning Gandhiji was against this particular partition, and finally in 1947 one cabinet, one particular last viceroy of India came, whose name was Lord Mountbatten, and Lord Mountbatten has given one particular proposal which was called as Mountbatten Plan. And this Mountbatten Plan says that the India and Pakistan will become two new countries, and the princely states will have three options. That is, either they can go with India, or they can go with Pakistan, or they can be the independent entity, independent nation, fine. So once again I'm repeating, Mountbatten Plan was having three proposal. The first one was partition will take place, the second one was India and Pakistan will become new country, and the third one was princely states will have three options. Either they can go with India, or they can go with Pakistan, or they can be independent, है ना. So this particular proposal were accepted by Muslim League also, were accepted by Indian National Congress also, and were accepted by princely states also. And finally 14th of August 1947 Pakistan became independent country, and the next day 15th of August India became independent nation. So this is how the complete chapter took place. The last very important topic of this chapter is the sense of collective belonging. Means you have made the country, but just by having the land, you will not be called a particular citizen, fine. You must have the feeling of love for your nation. Patriotism should be there, fine. Nationalism should be there, Desh Bhakti should be there, fine. So that is why, to develop this type of feeling, our particular leaders have started something that will be coming under the topic, that is sense of collective belonging. As you all know, India is a very diverse country where a number of people are living from various background, linguistic background, religious background, regional background, and number of backgrounds are there. But we all are united. How we all are united? Because our struggle is same, our history is same, our culture is same, our enemy is same. So that is why we were united with our struggle. And some very important points are there within this sense of collective belonging, which is very important question. Also comes directly in board examination in 5 marks. So first of all, I'll tell you about the paintings, है ना. So here now, if you talk about the painting of Bharat Mata, so here the first image of Bharat Mata was created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay is also known as Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. And Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay ji has also made one very a beautiful song which was called as Vande Mataram. Later Vande Mataram will become the national anthem of India. And Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay ji has also written one book which was called as Anand Mat, है ना. Sometime it is also asked that who is the writer of Anand Mat. Okay, so who is the writer? Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Then later the painting was made by Abanindranath Tagore. Remember, Abanindranath Tagore is a relative of Ravindranath Tagore, है ना. After that we will discuss about the next very important one, that is folklore and folk tales. So folklore and folk tales are the collection of local stories. Actually on that time the history was that much manipulated that you cannot get the correct history. So what was the source from where you can get the correct history? The folklore and folk tales, है ना. So on that time basically two very important person you have to remember here, that is Ravindranath Tagore ji and Natasha Sastry, है ना. So Ravindranath Tagore ji has collected the folklore and folktale from the entire India, and Natasha Sastry has collected from South India, basically the Madras area, है ना. So these two particular person you have to remember, they have actually revived the entire importance of folklore and folktale. After that you have to remember about the flag. Within the flag also you have to remember two flags. One is Swadeshi flag and the second one is Swaraj flag. So Swadeshi flag was used after the Swadeshi movement, and Swadeshi movement started after the Bengal partition, है ना? So Bengal partition, as you all know, took place in 1905, and to protest this Bengal partition, Swadeshi movement has been launched. Okay, so this Swadeshi movement flag was having three color, and here now they were using the 8 lotuses representing the 8 British provinces of India, and it was also having crescent moon, which was representing the Hindus and Muslim, unity of Hindus and Muslim. Okay, I hope this is clear to everyone. Now the next one we have is the Swaraj flag. Swaraj flag was made by Gandhiji in 1921, and in this Swaraj flag we were having three colors, that is saffron, and then we have green, and in between we have white, है ना? So saffron is the color which was used for Hindu religion, green was the color which was used for Islam religion, and the white color was used for Christian and other religion. And in between he has used one symbol which was called as charkha. So charkha was the symbol which was used for self-reliance and self-dependent, means you are not depending on any other entity or any other power, means we can manage our country, we can control our country, we can run our country. We don't need Britishers to manage our country. Britishers should leave our country and they should go to their own country. So that type of message was given through this charkha. And you all know that Mahatma Gandhi has made this flag in 1921. So I hope this flag point is also clear. Then the last one is reinterpretation of history. Under this, as I have already told you, that history was manipulated completely, and to revive the history, our historian have written our history again so that we can get the true history. Actually, the Britishers have manipulated our history in such a way that they can show their culture as superior and our culture as inferior. They can show themselves as superior and we as inferiors, but actually it is completely wrong philosophy. And they were saying that Indians tradition, culture and concept is very backward, and Western culture and tradition and concept is very modern. So this is also wrong, because you all know from the ancient time only how scientific we are, means n number of research and n number of things we have given to the entire world. And you all know in the medieval time India were known as the golden bird, सोने की चिड़िया, fine, and they were calling us uncivilized, but actually we believe in Atiti Deva Bhava, means guest is our god. And that is why when these foreigners, Europeans came in India, so we have treated them like god, but they have taken and misused our simplicity, fine. That means we are not uncivilized, they are uncivilized, fine. And you all know we also believe in Vasudev Kutumbakam, means the entire world is our home, means our thinking and our concept is very broad, we are not narrow minded. Okay, so that type of thing is there, which was revived by the historians and rewritten. They have rewritten our history again. So in that way we have tried to bring back our lost glory and lost particular charm of India. So I hope this chapter is very much clear to all of you. Now within few minutes I'll tell you the important questions that can be important topics and questions that can be asked from this chapter. So if you're asking me from beginning now, so if you see here this, how World War I is affecting the Indian struggle for independence, that is very important question. Okay, then here Satyagraha, this Satyagraha, from Satyagraha question can come in 3 marks. From Rowlatt Act also 3 marks question can be asked. From Jallianwala Bagh massacre also 3 marks question can be asked. Non-cooperation movement, always 5 mark, 1 5 mark question is coming from this non-cooperation movement. Difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement is always coming, so this you must remember that one is to when it is started, white has been stopped, okay. Single phase, double phase, you can see, fine. The fourth one is women were passive here, women were very active here. Here we were only stopping the cooperation, here we were stopping cooperation, as well as we were not following the rules and regulations, we were breaking also the rules and regulations. Okay, so these are some 4-5 differences that you can write easily. Then from here now, this Simon Commission, Lahore session 3 marks question can be made up. Here Lahore session, one map based question is coming, that where this Lahore session took place. So remember, it took where is Lahore, that you must remember. Nagpur, where it is, must remember, है ना, here non-cooperation movement we have discussed na, Nagpur session, Calcutta session. So this all location you must remember for map pointing question. Okay, after that this civil disobedience movement, one question is definitely coming. From this Dandi March 3 marks question can be asked. From this civil disobedience movement, from this civil disobedience movement 5 marks question can be asked definitely. And at last, the sense of collective belonging, what I have explained to you, from this also 5 marks question can be asked. So I hope we have successfully completed the entire chapter, and if you find any problem, doubt, confusion, you please comment below and let us know, and we will meet you in the next video where we will discuss the next chapter. Fine. So thank you everyone, bye bye, take care, thank you.